If you're looking for LLC business lines of credit, same day approval, fair credit, large amount, here is a review I want you to pay attention to right now. Number 5, we have on deck. Our score 8.3 over 10. So what we love about on deck is that, they really, if you have fair credit, if you have, let's say, even bad credit, they'll take care of you. On deck is known for working with a constellation of credit scores, okay? And so here you have loan amounts, line of credit amount that go from 6,000 all the way to $100,000, okay? And the APR starts at around 29.9%. The thing about on deck is that they will give you, they're very generous when it comes to business lines of credit for your ALC, but the APR is kind of high too. The minimum credit score for on deck starts around 575 and goes all the way to 625. The delta in the credit score here depends on the geography you're applying from the state. It depends on the state you're applying from, okay? And so what we love about on deck is that they're constantly innovating. Okay, here are the pros and cons. You have a ALC business lines of credit up to $100,000. They do offer same-day funding, and they have a low minimum credit score requirements. Here are the cons I want you to pay attention to. The $100,000 minimum annual revenue is required, even though in some cases it's waived, okay? And you must have been operating for at least 1 year, and they don't lend to LLC businesses in Nevada, North Dakota, or South Dakota. So you do have some kind of a very small geographic limitation here, but on deck overall is really great. They lend to over 700 industries, okay? And so overall, when we talk about eligibility, you must have a personal credit score of 575 to 625, okay? Additionally, you got to be in a business for at least 1 year, even though we have been helping clients get a business, an ALC business line of credit from on deck, even if they have been in business for less than 6 months. So it is totally possible. What we love about on deck overall is just the customer service, fantastic. They are really fast at releasing funds. As I said before, same day funding is a possibility. If you actually have all the paperwork ready, they can actually fund you within 4 hours. Basically, if you were to apply by 9 a.m., let's say 9 a.m. Eastern, and you probably by early afternoon, by 1 or by 2 or by 3 p.m., you can get your funds. So that's really fantastic. Number 4, we have Fundbox. Our score 8.7 over 10. So when you think about Fundbox, first of all, welcome back to the show, boss. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We love this kind of conversation. So when you think about Fundbox, you got to think about a great platform, actually one of the best when it comes to short-term LLC business lines of credit. Okay, and they are very generous too. We're talking about loan amounts that go from 1,000 to 150,000. And the APR is kind of low, but that's really, really good with Fundbox. Their APR starts at 4.66%, and minimum credit score 550 to 600. Okay, and so when you think about Fundbox, what we love about Fundbox is the fact that they are really, really fast. Their customer service is excellent. So here are the pros and cons of Fundbox. Here are the pros. You receive a decision within 3 minutes. This is really cool. Okay, they have a low minimum credit score requirements, and same day or next day funding is totally possible. Here is the only con, the only detriment that we have found. So only short-term repayment terms are available. So with Fundbox, they are really trying to cover their asses by actually giving you a very short repayment terms. We are talking about 12 or 24 weeks. This is really important. Think about that. The repayment terms on their ALC business lines of credit is, goes from 12 to 24 weeks. And 12 weeks is what? Think about it, boss. 12 weeks is less than 3 months. 24 weeks is less than six months. So very short. So overall, if you want to qualify for an ALC business line of credit with Fundbox, you need to have 550 to 600. Okay, and the applicant's business must only be in operation for at least 6 months, making a possible option for startups. However, ALC businesses must have at least $100,000 in annual revenue. Okay, and in terms of the funding time, you can have same day funding is totally possible. Okay, and but depending on the paperwork, if you get back to them real quick, they could actually transfer the funds to you. Let's say within 24 hours. So if you send the paperwork today by 9 a.m. Eastern, tomorrow by 9 a.m. Eastern, you'll get your funds in the bank account. Okay, And so overall, Funbox is just fantastic. We love them a lot. Number 3, we have Blue Vine. Our score 9/10. So when you think about Blue Vine, we love the fact that Blue Vine, by the way, I just want to quickly remind you of today's topic. What are we talking about? We're speaking about LLC, business lines of credit, same day approval, fair credit. Okay. And so the top five players in that field. So when you think about Blue Vine, what we look about Blue Vine is that Blue Vine is really best for flexible lines of credit for LLCs. Okay, we have loan amounts from 6,000 to $250,000, and you have an APR they're as low as 6.2%. This is really good. And Blue Vine wants you to have a minimum credit score of 575 to 625. So really, I mean, what we love about Blue Vine is that Blue Vine is totally kicking ass these days. They're really kicking ass. They're expanding their offerings. This is really good. And so here are the pros and cons of Blue Vine. So pros. Businesses that have been in operation for at least 24 months are eligible. They have a lines of credits for your LLC up to $250,000, and they have a low credit score requirements. One thing I need to say here is that if your LLC has been in operation for less than 12 months, Blue Vine can also work with you. It depends on the other aspects of your application file. Okay, here are the cons when it comes to Blue Vine LLC business line of credit. So right now they don't have a mobile app for this product for their LLC business line of credit, and they do have some monthly revenue requirements. And again, there are some states where you can't find a Blue Vine LLC business line of credit. So if your business is in North and South Dakota, okay, if you're in Puerto Rico or you are in U.S. territories, you're not going to qualify for the Blue Vine products. Okay, and the thing is, you need to understand if you are a startup, if you're a startup LLC. You must meet the following criteria to be eligible for Blue Vine's Flex 6 payment structure, which is another I would say funding program that Blue Vine is putting out there for ALCs. So minimum credit score 550 to 625. You must have been in business for at least 24 months. Okay, $40,000 per month in revenue or $480,000 annually. Your ALC business must be domiciled in the U.S. and no bankruptcies within the last 3 years. Okay, so very important. Number 2, we have American Express. Our score at 9.4/10. So basically, American Express is really great for a business line of credit for your ALC that is backed by American Express. This is a financial behemoth here. So what we love about American Express is that we love a lot of things. Okay. By the way, this product actually was started a few years ago by a company called Cabbage that was bought over by Amex during the COVID pandemic. Okay. So this is totally possible. I mean, it's really great. And what we love here is that we love the fact that you have a very generous offering, $2,000 to $250,000, and time in business 12 plus months. The average monthly revenue at least $3,000. Minimum credit score 640. Okay, so this is really good here. So when you think about the American Express business line of credit for your LLC, I really want to quickly talk about the pros and cons of this service. So what are the pros? Well, this LLC business line of credit is backed by American Express. As I said before, this is a financial behemoth. And on top of that, there is no prepayment penalty. Okay, and what are the cons here? Well, there are monthly fees on unpaid balances, and they do require some personal guarantee in some cases. So one thing you need to understand here, if you want to be eligible for financing through American Express Business Blueprint, that's the official name of their LLC business line of credit, applicants must have a minimum personal credit score of 640, have been in business for at least 1 year, and have a valid business checking account. And it really helps if you already have a relationship at the banking level with American Express. Okay, this really helps a lot. And so it's really important to have a verified bank account. It has to be verified because once you complete your loan application and sign the loan agreement, funds are sent to your verified bank account. So funds can take up to 3 days, even though from our experience, we have seen funds taking like 24 hours to appear in your account, okay, depending on your bank. But overall, this is a great funding program. We're talking about repayment terms that include 6, 12, or 18 months. So LLC line of credit customers incur a loan fee for each month they have an outstanding balance, and total monthly fees incurred over the loan term range from 2% to 9%, okay, for 6 month loans, 7.5% to 18% for 12-month loans, and 15.75 to 27% for 18-month loans. Number 1, the best of the best in our view here, we have Lendio. Our score, 9.7 over 10. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's conversation, the topic. We're talking about the top 5 LLC business lines of credit, same day approval, fat amounts. Okay, so when you think about Lendio, you have to think about, we're not speaking about a direct lender here. We're speaking about a lender comparison site. So this is a lender network. So when you think about Lendio, I want you to think about an online business loan marketplace that connects prospective borrowers with traditional banks and online lenders. Okay, so if you're an LLC business and you want to have an LLC business line of credit, same day approval, fair credit, Lendio could be a great place for you to start your research at. Okay, and if you were looking at very generous lenders. So you have a $5,000 all the way to $2 million. Time in business, 12 months minimum. They want you to have 20K in monthly revenue. In some cases, they will actually accept less. Remember, you are talking to a variety of lenders, so each lender might have their own requirements. Okay, and minimum credit score 550 to 600. So this is really cool, and the APR can be as low as 3%, and so this is really good. Now, overall, what we love, let me just walk you through the pros and cons of Lendio. So pros, so you have one application that connects you to more than 75 lenders, and you have a wide constellation of loan products beyond LLC business lines of credit. So this is really good. That flexibility is really important. Okay, here are the cons I want you to pay attention to. So some LLC lenders charge prepayment penalties. Funding times vary depending on the specific LLC lender. And Lendio does not publish specific terms, which makes sense because, again, you're dealing with a constellation of LLC lenders. You're not talking to only one. You're talking to lots of them. Okay, so it's important to actually be clear about the specific lender you are interested in and take it from there. So when you think about LLC business lines of credit through Lendio in general, we love this platform because you have the flexibility. Okay, applying through Lendio takes about 15 minutes. This is really good, 15 minutes. So after you review your offers and are approved by your LLC lender, you can receive your funds in as little as 24 hours. Think about it, 24 hours, you get your cash, not a problem, no questions asked. Okay, but one thing I want to say here is that you need to understand that don't expect the same offer from all lenders, because again, lenders are different, and on Lendio you do have banks, you do have alternative lenders, and you also have online lenders. You even have some credit unions that participate in this syndicate of lenders. So just be aware of that. Here is the overview that you need to have before we actually close to this conversation. So here are some tips for you when it comes to comparing LLC business lines of credit. You got to be in a position where you have a clear idea about the comparison metrics. Okay, now where possible, you want to pre-qualify. You want to pre-qualify for an LLC business line of credit, same day approval, fair credit that you are interested in. Okay, it's important. Whether it is On Deck, Blue Vine, American Express, Fundbox, or Lendio, make sure that you are able to, like in the very first stage, you are looking for a soft pull process so that you can preserve your personal credit. Okay, it's very important in any decision you make when it comes to credit. Please make sure you pay attention to your personal credit score. Okay, so you want to pre-qualify whatever possible, and you want to consider the repayment terms and flexibility. So the thing is, your ALC business line of credit lender, they probably have repayment terms. So the question I want to ask you here is, are those terms flexible for you? Okay, you want to look out for additional fees. The last thing you want is to be slapped with a constellation of fees And so be sure that the lender is clear about what types of fees they are actually adding on to your LLC business line of credit. Okay, so we're talking about things like origination fees, late payment fees, prepayment penalties. Okay, so there is a bunch of fees that lenders, if you don't actually pay attention, they may actually add on. Okay, so you also want to evaluate the lender's customer support options. So if you have found an LLC lender that's really prepared to offer you the money you need at a very acceptable terms, you want to consider the LLC lenders support their support options. And it's important because the thing is, you don't want to call customer service on Saturday afternoon and you've just been redirected to a call center somewhere around the world. And you talk to someone who has no idea what your question is, who has no idea what your problem is. You don't want that. You want the flexibility in the customer service. This is really, really important. So, and also, I also want you to remember that when you have to compare LLC business lines of credit, same day approval, fair credit, remember that you can get this on a secure basis or unsecure basis. This is really important to understand. If you have collateral to pledge, if you have, let's say you have a piece of equipment, you have an asset that you can pledge to sort of to collateralize the whole LLC business line of credit, I would say operation. Think about that, secured versus unsecured. Let me give you a few pro tips before we close to this conversation. So, it's really important to understand that when you are comparing LLC business line of credit lenders, you need to think about the best way for you to choose ultimately your LLC business line of credit. Okay, so think about eligibility requirements. Think about your LLC line of credit amounts, like the credit amount that the lender is willing to grant you. Think about the funding speed, because the last thing you want is to actually apply for an LLC business line of credit and just have to wait for like ever. You wait forever, they don't get back to you, and you call them up, they start playing games with you. You don't want that. You really don't want that. So think about, you want to think about this aspect of things. You want to think about the repayment terms. This is also important. I mean, we have talked before about LLC business lines of credit. We're thinking about the repayment window. Now I want to think about the repayment terms, because once your drop period ends, an LLC lender will likely require you to repay the amount you borrowed on a monthly basis. Okay. However, the amount of time you have to repay what you borrow, which is called the repayment terms, the repayment term varies. So you want to pick a lender that offers a repayment term that best suits your business. Think about the fees also, okay? And in terms of like going a little granular in terms of the strategy, the formula of success, you also want to decide how much funding you need, okay? You want to review your credit. So how much funding you need means what? It means that you need to estimate the maximum amount of credit that your LLC business will need. And so which this will actually mean that you have to look into your LLC business's accounting records, look at the balance sheet, look at the cash flow statements, look at the budget, look at the income statement, look at the statement of owner's equity, so you have a clear idea of where your problem is in terms of cash inflows and cash outflows. This is so important, okay? And you want to review your credit, of course. You want to gather the required documents when it comes to your LLC. And finally, you want to submit the business line of credit application. So remember, the goal is to actually be approved on the same day. So make sure that you have your paperwork ready, that your paperwork is really I would say finalized, because if it ain't finalized, you're not getting the cash the same day, because the letter will be asking for extra information, and all this back and forth is adding actually extra time to the period where you finally get your line of credit approved and the funds released. Okay, so this is really important. In the interest of time, for sake of clarity, for sake of celerity, for sake of speed, make sure that you have all the paperwork ready by actually studying the lender's requirement beforehand. This is very quintessential. Before I do a recap of today's conversation, please check out, we do have a very strict loan evaluation approach on file, and this allows us to check, to evaluate, to categorize, and to list LLC business lines of credit, same day approval, fair credit. Please check this out. me quickly do a recap here. The top 5 LLC business lines of credit: same day approval, fair credit, fast approval. Number 1, Lendio, 9.7 over 10. Number 2, we have American Express, 9.4 over 10. Number 3, we have Blue Vine, 9 over 10. Number 4, we have Fundbox, 8.7 over 10. And number 5, last but not the least, we have OnDeck, 8.3 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.